before this video starts, I want to give you guys a huge thank you for your guys' support. In the last video, I had mentioned that our website is kind of on a soft opening, and I kind of gave a little preview as to what it is, and all I did was put the link in the description. I haven't even announced it on any of my social medias yet, and you guys actually went and checked it out, and there was actually 5 orders overnight that night, and that absolutely blew my mind. The fact that I've been working on this project of Risen and the clothing and the website for months now, working with Omar and our clothing distributor, and getting all my members' ideas and collecting it all together. And then the whole time in the back of my head, I was always worrying if anyone was actually going to even check out the website or buy anything. And some of you guys actually went out and bought some stuff, and that really meant the world to me. So I really wanted to give you guys a really big thank you. And some of you actually even applied to join the team. As some of you guys know, we are beginning to look into expanding Risen to a countrywide thing, and we actually got 2 applications from Hawaii, 1 application from California, 1 from Texas, and believe it or not, 1 from Tokyo, Japan. Originally, I'm not planning to expand to other countries right now, but I talked to the guy who applied for the leader position over in Japan, and the guy was really chill. So there's some really big things happening here, and hopefully we have a bright future ahead of us. But thank you guys so much for the orders. I couldn't thank you guys enough. One of you even spent $100 on the website, and that is absolutely mind-blowing that somebody enjoys the content enough to support the channel in that kind of way. Like that just really made my day. I woke up and I had a good day instantly. So thank you guys so much. And if you guys want to pick anything up on the website, or just check out the website, make an account, or maybe apply for the team, go ahead and check out the website. I will put the website in the description, so go ahead and check that out. But go ahead and enjoy today's video. Alright, it has come to my attention that I am one of the highest mileage BRZ owners, sitting at about 10,600 miles, because we hit 10,000 miles during our That Dude in Blue live drift event. Now I'm home to do the overdue oil change and give you guys a little bit of a review on the BRZ and how it has been for the last 10,000 miles between modding the car and just driving it basically all over the place, because this is my daily and I have been driving it to literally so many states and different areas already. So the car has definitely seen some of its time already, and I'm here to give you guys some feedback. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the rest of the mess I made here in the garage, and then we will go for a drive. Alrighty, 10,000 miles in my BRZ, and if I had one word to sum it all up, I would say great. I think the car has been great for the last 10,000 miles. I've had no issues mechanically. Even with modifying the car, I haven't had any problems. Everything they did with this generation, I would say, is overall better. And the styling compartment, even the way the car drives and handles, I think it's a much better improvement over the first gen, no matter what people say about it. I do think Subaru and Toyota nailed it out of the park with this one, because to its core, it is still a first gen BRZ FRS GT86 thing, but it's an upgraded version. It's a revision. It's everything you guys wanted, but without a turbo. A lot of people wanted a turbo, but the problem is that would enter the 4-cylinder Supra ballpark market, where that's a 4-cylinder with a turbo, and people would just end up going for that one. So obviously Toyota and Subaru weren't going to let that happen, so they had to make this car 4-cylinder NA the way it is. The car has way better torque. It has no torque dip. They even have a graph here that'll show you the torque dip on the gauge cluster to prove to you that they fixed that issue, which is huge. There's things that I like about the first gen that I like a little bit more than this one, like how it's a little bit more aggressive than this one. But then again, we have to remember this is the first version of this car, so there will be a facelift in the future, because they usually run these cars about 8 years. So we have 8 years to see more revisions of this platform. So I do think there will be a lot more to come for this car, especially a facelift on the front end, because this one's a little bit bubbly looking on the front, a little bit soft. But as for my overall ownership of this car for 10,000 miles, as some of you guys have seen, I've driven this car all the way from Virginia back home. That's where I picked it up. I've driven all the way to Georgia like 2 times to go visit David and attend his live drift event. And I've also driven this car to Orlando, Miami, Tampa, and then back home. So I do a lot of driving. I enjoy driving my cars. When I had my previous car, which was a Type R, I drove that a lot as well. I think I gained like 40,000 miles in a year. I don't remember, but we're already at 10,000 miles on this car, and there's just been no issues. I've changed the oil twice, as you guys saw. This was my second time today. I know it's a little bit late, but I've been super busy. But yeah, mechanically no issues. I've upgraded the things that I thought needed upgrading, like the brakes. I went to the Brembos. I want to do the rears eventually, and the Brembo upgrade is definitely a must for me, because especially going from a Type R, which had a big Brembo kit in the front, and then going to the BRZ, which had those small puny brakes, it was definitely needed. And then also upgrading suspension to get a little bit lower. As for a car as a daily driver, I highly recommend it a lot. I think the #1 question I get is, how is this car on space? A lot of people are worried about going from whatever car they have, like a sedan, to this smaller car. Yeah, I think I'm pretty valid to answer this question, because I had a Type R, which is a Civic hatchback. I will talk about that car a lot, and even if I don't talk about that, the car before that I had was a sedan. So my first 2 cars was the sedan and a hatchback, and now I'm on a coupe, and this is one of the smallest coupes. I will say space is fairly limited, especially since I have a bag set up in the trunk. The tank and the air management system takes up half the trunk, and then back seats, there's just no legroom for your backseat passengers. If you guys saw my latest video, you'll see that I had 4 people crammed up in this car, and we drove 5 hours. So it honestly, it is doable. If you are trying to carry stuff and you don't have bags, if you put down the back seat between the trunk and the back seat area, you have a lot of space for stuff to shove in this trunk and drive around. And I do think it's pretty spacious. And then as for the front seats, I do think it's pretty spacious for your driver and passenger. So I do think Subaru did what they could with the chassis they had, and you wouldn't really know the space until you step into one of these cars. It's pretty much the same as the first gen, so if you stepped in one of those, you guys will know what I'm talking about. But I am 5'11", I believe I'm 5'11", and this gap here is pretty good. I mean, I never bonked my head on the roof. Even when I wore a helmet while drifting, it didn't give me too many problems. I was hitting this a little bit and a little bit of this, but it wasn't too bad. It was definitely doable, so I wouldn't say that was too big of a problem. And also for daily driving, for me, the car gets about 25 miles per gallon, which I'm not exactly the lightest foot, so I'm sure you can get a lot better than that, but I have been chilling lately, and it has been settling to 25, and every road trip I go on, it goes up a little bit more to 26, 27. So the car definitely handles the miles per gallon problem quite well. I think the most I've seen my tank fill up to is 280 miles. It's pretty cool that it tells you how many miles it has in the tank, and it goes in increments of 10, so it'll go 260, 250, 240, 230. When it gives you the warning gas light, you have 10 miles in the tank still. Other than that, with how the car comes from factory, I think it's pretty great. The transmission, I've had no gear grinds. I've had no problems that I had in my last cars. I've had nothing like falling apart or cheap plastic squeaking or anything like that. I've heard in the forums that people think the speaker system could be better. I personally like the way the speaker system is in here, but then again, I'm not a huge sound guy, so I don't know much about that. So only gripes I have about this car would probably be the visibility, which I fixed with the SUMA Performance side mirrors and the Broadway wide view mirror. I also have a gripe about the head unit. I think the head unit is great. I think the size is perfect. I think if it ran smoothly, it'd be perfect. But one problem with this head unit is not that it lags. It actually runs pretty smoothly, but the phone cord to plug into your phone is kind of dumb, because if you like hit a bump or something, it'll like disconnect, and then you have to like sit there and try and drive and like plug the cord back into your phone just to make it work, and it's pretty irritating. I think that's my only gripe about that. And then that leads actually to my third gripe about this car. Then that would be the fact that there's like not really anywhere to put your phone. I showed in one of my first videos that I end up putting my phone in the door card over here on the side, because besides these cup holders you have in the middle, there's not really a compartment by your shifter area like most cars to put your phone. So that's one thing I would say is a little bit interesting. Car is a great car. If you're looking to get one of these cars, I don't think you've ever seen a review of somebody griping on this car or not liking this car, because it's just an overall great car. It's 230 horsepower, so you should be able to beat quite a few cars, and it's a light car. So if that's something you're worried about, then that's definitely something that can be done. It's not going to beat your higher trim cars, but it's going to be all your economy cars, or maybe even your SIs. I've seen it race some WRXs because of the weight distribution. I know this car is a great platform and has a long future ahead of it, because there's so much more that is being developed in the aftermarket scene. And that's another thing that I think is really cool about this car, is that the aftermarket scene has a lot of parts that carried over from the first gen, because you guys got to see me go through this process of modifying this car with first gen parts, like the catback, like the coilovers, like the bags, like the brakes. You know, there was a lot you could do right off the bat. Even the wheels is the same bolt pattern. So I really liked how things carried over from the first gen. You can really feel that this is a BRZ to the soul. At the time of making this video, I'm at 10,888. The B-roll clips will probably be like 11,000 or whatever, but I wanted to make this video, give you guys my initial thoughts on the first 10,000 miles. And this car's been a blast. The car has held up, and I know that's something a lot of people are concerned about when they're first getting a newer 2022 car or anything in that sense, because they don't know if the car is going to hold up, because it's brand new. So they don't know like what things could happen in a certain mileage. And considering this formula is being carried, most of it's being carried over from the first gen, and a mix of like Subaru and Toyota's history, there's nothing to go wrong. I don't even think there's going to be a recall for this car, because there hasn't been any issues. Bite my tongue, but yeah, Subaru and Toyota nailed this one right on the head. And I think that is a wrap on this lecture. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to like,